Yeah, okay. Hey, hello, everyone. Welcome to another show on Rick's Tech Pub on a Friday, 28th. Only two more, I think, a couple more days of this month. Yeah, two more days. Monday's the first. Yay. So, like I said in the description, that the show title would be determined on showtime, but there isn't really any much for me to talk about. I was out this morning snow shoveling. Not much, but a few sidewalks I did. And did a few other things. Then I got back home. Then I went grocery shopping. Hoping the store wasn't crowded. It was anything but that. It was very crowded. So I was playing bumper cars with grocery carts in the store because there's really no room. It's never really been, well, it's been like that before, but I'm usually finishing up as it's getting busy. Today it was busy when I got there and even busier when I left. You would think everybody would have done their grocery shopping before Thanksgiving. Apparently not. Because I asked another one person over in Northeast how their store was, because I know someone that works there, and he said we're moderately busy, busy than normal. Well, I don't know why today everybody decided to go out grocery shopping, and that's all I've done. Hello, Ken. Hello, Josh. Ski Man. And Mr. Bach, or Brock, or Book, whatever that name is. Hello. Hope you're all having a good day. It is cloudy, overcast here. Looks like it could start snowing. I know just 3 days ago or 4 or 5 days ago I was saying raining. Now I'm saying it looks like it's gonna start snowing. I do believe our temperature is only 22 degrees. So we're below freezing, so yay. So there really isn't much for me to say. I mean, I've been watching the YouTube thing for and checking out channels, but I think everybody's taking a break from tech for a while, so I might get back to that Monday, being that I'm not going to have a live stream tomorrow. Because tomorrow is Saturday. No, it's our snow totals. God damn it! I am not on YouTube. Hate that YouTube. It's so damn slow. So I'll go back to OBS. Yeah, we got 7.7 inches. That's about how much we got. Some areas got worse. Some were 8 inches. I think there was a few close to 9 inches. Hello, Greg. I suppose your time, Greg, for doing yard work is coming up to an end here pretty soon. So I'm sure you're going to be looking at snow just like we are. Just you're a little bit too warm for the snow yet, but from what I've heard, it's coming to your neighborhood. Whenever that will be, I don't know, but the weather forecast that I saw sounds like this weekend could get a little bit crazy for the upper Midwest. Saying they could get another from southern Minnesota all the way out to New York and Maine, that whole area. In the upper Great Lakes, they're looking at another 4+ inches of snow. It's just gonna be below the line of the city where my mom lives, so she might get an inch or two. But it's anything below that they're just gonna get Snow blind again. Sunny 40 degrees. Oh, no snow. Oh, that's good. You're at 43 degrees. I don't know. Maybe you'll get lucky and not have barely any snow this year. I know we've had a few winters that we barely got any snow. Got my new debit card. So I had to go and get it replaced because mine was going to expire. And now I guess they're going to send me one in the mail. And this one's not a green card. This one's almost white. This has 3 lines on it. Curved lines. Wonder if this has wonder if this is one of those cards you just put it up to the machine and it beeps and it takes your credit information or whatever. I don't know if that's one of them or not, but Ski Man says it's 41. You guys are lucky you still have the warm weather. I was checking on chat here. As far as anything that I was talking about earlier this week, like changing Windows 10 or Windows 11 to look like an earlier version or to do things with a taskbar. The more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm seeing on videos. That could land you into trouble doing that because certain programs aren't going to run, and doing that turns other things off in the registry. So I don't really recommend doing that. I think the taskbar maybe you could change back to like Windows 7 or whatever, but I don't know. Sounds like it breaks things when it does that. So let's see, is Josh Kinder still here? Because I know he uses that whatever it's called program that makes it look like Windows 7 or whatever. I don't know. Installs this 32. Yeah, you guys have the nice temperatures now. Just give it a while. Hopefully it don't. I mean, I don't like anybody getting snow. I wish we didn't. I know some people really have a hard time driving on snow. Especially up here, the city doesn't maintain the roads. Like I said, that's my mom was bitching about today. It's like, your roads are rough up here. That's because they leave the blade about that far up off the ground. Because they don't want that plow to dig into the pavement and rip up the road. So they're leaving it a little bit up off the road so they don't get all the snow. They can't scrape it down to the pavement. So I've talked to a guy about that, and he said we can't do that because we'll tear up the roads. They'll leave marks in the road, and in a lot of places they do. Up here they don't. Most places in other state they scrape the highway. You can hear that blade scraping the tar. Now up here you don't hear that. All you hear is the little light sound of the snow getting pushed to the side. You don't hear that loud scraping noise of the plow hitting the road and scraping up the road. They leave a little bit of snow on the ground. And they've been doing that for about the last 5-6 years. They used to scrape them clean because people don't like driving on icy and snowy roads. And now they're just telling us to deal with it. They're not going to be cleaning them very good anymore. Plus, I don't think they're getting very good money for road maintenance. So if they're not getting paid a lot or getting paid at all, then why do it? Just do the bare minimums to keep the traffic flowing, but don't do any extra. And that's exactly what they're doing. I mean, our bridge out here, Laurel Street Bridge, my mom says that bridge is a mess. There's about, looks like 2 inches of snow on the bridge. And on bridges, they go up even higher. They go about an inch or 2 inches. So it leaves an inch and a half of snow on the bridge. But it's accumulated because of other cars bringing snow onto the bridge and dropping it off. And so I've seen cars pigtailing it, trying to get through the snow on the bridge. It's not fun. It's treacherous. I wish they'd do better, but they're not gonna. Because I know what they'll say. You want us to do better? Pay us better than what the city is, and we'll do a lot better. But until then, no. Whatever. I'm not your boss, but I just wish that. And the other thing, I wish they take care of the sidewalks. The other day I was coming back, yesterday I went out for a little bit of a bike ride, and half the sidewalks are closed because there's 4 or 5 inches of snow on it. And they say at some point they'll get to the sidewalks, but that's not their priority right now. The highways are. Side streets they barely do anything with. Yeah, ski man, people do that up here. They end up getting themselves arrested. You can't do it. You either drive like a decent human being, or what they're going to start doing for people that are driving like that is they're just going to start yanking the license for like 6 months. Maybe that'll get people in there. They've done that already, and most of the crazy people that I know that do shitties right in the middle of the road, they ain't doing that no more. They've gotten tickets up to $1,000, and the one guy that I'm still riding around with, he had his license revoked. Because the cops told him once, and then they told him twice, and the second time, he got a letter in the mail. Driver's license revoked. For hazardous driving. Because he likes doing those donuts. Can't do that here in Brainerd. You get caught twice, you will get your license yanked or suspended. They don't play around up here. They don't let you have fun. Yeah, and that's where they're catching people, ski man. Up here, there was a guy up in last winter. There was a guy doing that. Police car went past him. He spun back around, went back up to him, and just stopped in the parking lot, at the entrance of the parking lot. Because eventually the guy saw him and he stopped and like, oh shit, I'm in trouble. I kind of had to step out on the second floor balcony, and I see the officer just doing this with the guy. Constantly telling he was pointing at something else, and he was not happy with him doing that. And that was at about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. And the cop just happened to drive by, and I said, oh no, wrong time for him to come. Yeah, he nailed him. I don't think it was a guy that was living here. I think he was visiting or something, and just got crazy. And he was doing it in a front-wheel drive car. That is hard on the transmissions. But he was, and he was just going in circles and circles and circles, and he made about 5, 6 turns, and then the 7th turn, he looked over, saw the cop sitting there, like, uh-oh. So he stopped, get out, and then the cop car pulled forward and got out, slammed his car door shut, and just pointing I couldn't hear what the officer was saying, but he was pointing his finger at the guy, telling him that kind of driving is not necessary or whatever. But I only live about maybe almost a block from the police department. Fire department's right across the street. And he had to take some 5 minutes to get here from a call. Like when we had the that fire up there many years ago. It took him 5 or 6 minutes to get here, and they're only a minute away. It took him 5, 6 minutes to get here. No, I don't think it was that long. Probably about 4, maybe 5 minutes. Took longer than when it should have, because a bunch of us were waiting. Sitting standing there thinking when the fire department's going to show up, and 4 minutes later they did. They're slowly coming down the road, pulling into the parking lot. Like, you guys do know our building's on fire, don't you? Yeah, we're here. Not soon enough. Yeah, rear-wheel drives are that can be fun, but just don't get caught doing it. If you're in an area like mine, you'll get a hell of a fine and get told if you get caught doing it again, they'll suspend your license. They just don't let people up here have fun. Stay in the lines, behave yourself, and don't pay attention to anybody else on the road. Just pay attention to yourself and nobody else, and you'll do fine. But if you start looking at other car drivers, they're going to start writing down your license plate number and they'll turn you in. Just stay to yourself, mind your own business up here, and you'll be fine. But you start looking to the left and start looking at other people, they write down your license plate number and they turn you in. I've been with people that have gotten turned in. We got pulled over because on Washington Street, the police officer said, "Who are you looking at? Looked like you were paying to everybody else except your driving." I was just looking. He just said he was just looking. He was looking at the one building and then he was looking at the other, and he said, "Don't be doing that." So he got a warning, but he said next time we're gonna have a more of a. Can't remember how he said it, but it wasn't going to be a pleasant conversation the second time. Oh, they're quicker than that around here, but the problem is you just don't get 1 or 2 or 3 cop cars. You get 15 of them. Everybody shows up. For just someone standing in a parking lot and they got to ask them questions, 10 cop cars will show up. Ask me, because I know it happened to me once. I didn't just get 1 or 2 or 3 cop cars. I had like 7 surrounding me. It's like, what do you guys want? And the minute they pulled in, I stopped because I had a feeling the way they came in and stopped in front of me, and then another 4, 5, 6, and I looked over, and the 7th one is down there. I looked at the officer and said, "What the hell do you want?" It was an unnecessary stop that my mom ended up calling him and saying a few choice words to him. They've never bothered me since. Except for that one when my neighbor turned me in for having loud music on when I didn't have my music on. Do they pre-treat the roads? Not as much as they used to. They don't put salt down because it's so expensive. And they really don't have the budget for the salt this year, is what I've heard. They do a little bit in some areas, but they don't do the entire road like they used to. Little in sporadic spots, a little bit here, a little bit there, and around the stop signs. They don't really put sand down as much as they used to. That's another thing that's costing the city a lot of money they don't want to pay for. I mean, they do, but when the budget dries up, then they won't be doing that anymore. And that happened a couple of winters ago, that right around March, they said that their funds for the salt and sand have pretty much come to a stop. Because they don't get it free here. The city, the dump truck drivers, when they get that, that's a payload. They have to pay for that. And they really, I don't know. Up here, it's fine in the summertime, the spring and summer and early fall, but winter time here is just not so fun. My friend that's got that snowmobile, or the dust snowmobiles, he texted me yesterday and he said he had both of them running. He said one of these days when he gets time, or whenever, probably sometime in late January. I'm gonna go up to Gull Lake and cross the longest part of it, which is I think a mile or so, a little over a mile. And probably get up to 102 miles an hour. That's a little bit treacherous because you hit a rough. If you're rough and you're bouncing all over the place, it hurts your hands to keep your hands on the handlebars. When half the time the skis aren't on the ground because they're bouncing so much, they're just constantly doing this. Your hands and your arms and your wrists just ow. It's fun, but a little painful if the lake isn't very smooth. There's been a couple of years where it wasn't. They use liquid snow. I've never heard of that. And ice melt. No salt. No salt use. Yeah, I know. It melts at lower temps. Yeah, we had the ice up here so bad about 4 or 5 years ago. The city tried everything to get the ice off there, and it was thick. It was thick ice. None of their machines, nothing they had, would break that ice up. So they just dumped a whole bunch of sand on it and said that's the best we can do. Because that ice and the ice kicked their butts. And a lot of roads they just couldn't get it off the road. So the best they could do and what they said is just drive very slow and be careful going around corners. Because in some roads, especially in the county roads, they really couldn't get the ice off the roads. It was so damn thick. I think it's called brine. Yeah, liquid snow. I've never heard of that. Wonder if I can do a Google search on that because I'm kind of interested in what that is. I bet you it's not going to come up with anything. Oh, that shit does exist. Wow. A little spendy. $129 to $29 to 86 to no, thank you. Snow fluid. I've never heard of that crap. Froggies, fog, extra dry snow fluid. Huh. I've never heard of this. Never in my life. And you think I would, because I live up here? I didn't know there was such a thing. You can get it in barrels. You know, 5 or 10 gallon barrels or whatever for $1,374. That shit's expensive. 20 liters is almost $90. I guess if it works, I guess that's why it's expensive. But you won't see me going out and buying it. No, not at that price. Well, the cheaper stuff is like $10, but who said the cheaper stuff is gonna work? Fake snow, liquid winter wonderland. Now that makes snow. Okay, I know what that stuff is now. It makes snow. That's what they use at the downhill ski places. I think that's some of the chemicals they use to make snow. That's what that stuff is. It's not to dissolve it, it looks like. Hmm. Visual effects snow fluid, yeah. Snow machine, 5 liter. Here's a question, and it kind of answers itself. What is liquid snow? What is liquid snow called? Liquid snow. How long can liquid snow last? What is snow and fluid for? Creates the fast falling snow, perfect for any background scene. Yeah, that's what I thought it was for. It's for making snow. Still, I've never heard of this shit. I've never heard of the stuff. But it's expensive. Do it again. Yep, I did. Clicked on the wrong one. The snow shoveling hurt my back. As long as I don't do a lot of lifting of heavy snow, I take a half shovel full and I just kind of toss it lightly. I won't pick up a whole heavy snowfall and try to lift that up and throw it. I've noticed my shoulders won't put up with it very much. I was snow shoveling this morning. Boy, my shoulder hurt like oh. Especially when I'd come up to the sidewalk and I'd hit one of those ridges in the sidewalk and I'd come to an instant stop. Ouch. It hurt my shoulder. So instead of doing it one way, I just turned around and went the other way. Yeah, for the slopes of the. Yeah, I used to Powder Ridge up in Kimball, Minnesota. I used to go downhill skiing a lot. That was until I went through a fence. I'm surprised I survived it because the fence was about that thick. And I saw the fence coming and I couldn't do the snowplow quick enough, so I just said, okay, here we go. We're going to go through the fence, and busted one board and I flipped and went over the other, and ouch. 3 or 4 guys came down to see if I was okay because they saw me hit that thing. I busted one board and the bottom one just kind of fell off. And I was doing somersaults in the air. I landed and 4 guys came running after me asking me if I was okay. I said, yeah, I think I'm okay. I just got to get the dizziness out of my head. Because when I landed, I looked up at the sky and the whole planet was just doing this. And like, oh, no. So I sat there for a minute or two and I kind of sat up and I said, yeah, I think I'll make it. And they helped me get back to the lodge. We were only going to be there for about another hour or so. So I just stayed in the lodge and said, yeah, I'm done. Had fun for many years there until that happened. Yeah, it was fun till that happened. Yeah, I don't think I'll be snow shoveling for too much longer. I think every once in a while this winter I will, but doing it full time like I used to, I don't think I can. I don't think my back or my shoulder is going to let me. I forgot about my shoulder shoveling snow. I forgot how much that bothers me. Didn't think it was, and at first it didn't, and then it started hurting. And then when I hit that ridge where one part of the sidewalk was higher than the other, and I hit that ridge, and ow, that hurt. So I kind of had to stand there for a couple of minutes and get the achiness out of my arm, and went back to work. Had another. He was on the first block. And I did the second one, and I did the third. So I did three blocks. And at the same time, I shoveled off people's sidewalks going up to their house. From the sidewalk up to their house, and the little sidewalk they walk on to get to their house. Shoveled that for about three or four places. And everybody else just had a note on their door, don't shovel our sidewalk, we'll do that. So I just did the sidewalk. I didn't do their little trail up to their house. Put a few notes on the door said, don't shovel our trail up to the house, we'll do that. Okay, so I won't. Most people around here know me that I've been doing that long enough for the last 4 or 5 years, off and on. Do I ever try snowboarding? No, because I'm not gonna break my freaking neck. That's the easy answer to that. I'm not gonna break my freaking neck. I know a guy that messed up his neck by snowboarding. He was trying to, I don't know what he was doing, but he went sideways, and then all of a sudden he just flip flopped and flipped about 4 times and kind of landed on his head and messed up some vertebrae in his neck. He still isn't right today because of that. He's had like a minor surgery. The surgeon just wanted to go in there and take a sneak peek, see if he had busted anything, but he didn't. He's lucky. I told him, you're lucky you didn't break your neck. Said I thought I was going to because he knew he was going to go upside down, so he forced his weight to turn and kind of landed on his head, but kind of here on his shoulder, and he had a big bruise on his shoulder for a day or so. Yeah, he got messed up from doing that. Said, no, I am not doing snowboarding. I've seen too many accidents from the pros to the average person trying to do snowboarding. I've seen the pros mess it up pretty badly. I've seen some pretty nasty accidents on TV and live on person or in person. I've seen people go down the hill with a snowboard and I don't know, they lose their balance or something. The next thing they're just tumble rolling down the hill. Fingers crossed that they don't break their neck or break a bone. So nope, no snowboarding for me. I like my neck the way it is. It barely works, but it works, and I like to keep it that way. Cross-country skiing. That's another thing I used to do. Back with my parents when I was a young little kid. 10, 11 years old. Out cross-country skiing for, I don't know, it must have been like quarter of a mile or whatever. My dad didn't want to take me out too far. Didn't think I'd make it. So the skiing isn't too bad, but I don't know. I've done it all. I've had those big, huge snow boots or whatever they are, so you can walk on the snow. Yeah, well, try riding a bike at high speed, then wiping out, like I did 2 winters ago. That wasn't fun. Then I knew I was doing about maybe 15 miles an hour, and a car got in my way quicker than I could stop. So, yeah, I locked up the back tire. I was fishtailing, locked up my back tire. And I was fishtailing, and then the bike went sideways. I missed the car. How I missed the car, I don't know. And then after that, the front wheel went sideways, and boom. Ouch. The lady got out of the car, and she asked me if I was all right. But I said, yes, but I would appreciate it if you people look to the left instead of just looking to the right and pulling out. She said, yeah, I know, that's a mistake we have. We always do that. Now I'm always careful. I'm looking at that driveway and I do see someone there. I slow down and say, come on, look to your left, look to your left. There you go. And he looks to the left and he stops. Like, he saw me and he let me go by before he pulled out into the sidewalk. If I would have hit him, that wouldn't have been good. And I've had many close calls. Almost every day I go out, it's a close call. Because the drivers out here, they just don't care for the bicyclists. And they'll do whatever they want. They're bigger than you. They'll say, we own the roads, you're just a bicycle. Like, yeah, but... And they don't like the bike lanes up here. There's bike lanes here in Brainerd, and a lot of people don't like them. They've asked the city to get rid of them. The bicyclists shouldn't be on the road. They should be on the sidewalk where the cops tell you the different. They don't necessarily want me or other people on the sidewalk. We'd rather be on the streets, but the people in the cars don't want us on the streets, so we never win. I still ride on the street, sidewalks, and cops have never bothered me about it. I think I had one cop tell me he'd rather see me on the street than the sidewalk. That he didn't want me to accidentally hit somebody. When I'm on the sidewalk going downtown, and I'm at like maybe 3-4 miles an hour, and I have my legs hangling off the pedals. So if I do have to stop, I hit the brakes, put my feet down, and I stop. And people look at me kind of weird, but I stopped. There's been a couple of times. Yeah, we won't get into that. I had one guy yell at me because he said I should have been paying attention. I said I was. He said, no, you weren't. Look how close. Well, if you would have just not stood there like an idiot, I would have either gotten around you or I would have stopped, but you stopped right in front of me. And he says, yes, and I have a right to. Well, then I have a right to run you over. He gave me the middle finger and walked off. Oh, I can never win. That ground hurts. Yeah, it does. And I've wiped out on the hill here 2 winters ago. I was doing fine. And then all of a sudden I started going sideways and the front tire hit something and boom, boom, boom. That's all it was. And I got up quicker than I fell. I didn't want people to notice that I'd fallen. But nobody was on the road. But that's why I got up so quick, because I didn't want people to notice that I fell. Skinned up my knee, ripped my pants. Made a mess out of my jacket. Because I got in the building after I parked my bike. Walked in the building and people looked at me and said, what the hell happened to you? I said, I wiped out on the hill. All 4 of them looked at me and they said, ouch. I said, that's not what I said. I said a little bit more than ouch. One guy says, yeah, I'm sure you did. But he looked at me and said, are you okay though? I said, yeah, I'm fine. A little sore, but I'm fine. So when I think things are going to go fine, all of a sudden it just, boom, it changes. I go sideways and over I go. Because I have done a complete rollover on my bike where the bike rolled over me, and then I kind of rolled over the bike, and that was scary. I didn't know if the pedals were going to hit me in the head or what, but I have gone completely over and over with my bike. It just kind of flipped, and I kind of went with it. Most people say if you're going to wipe out, just let go of the thing. That's actually worse doing that, because I've tried that. You end up flying off the bike and you end up probably hitting something that you really don't want to hit, like a tree. So unfortunately, the best thing is just to grab a hold of the handlebars and hold on tight, because you're going to flip over 2 or 3 times. And yeah, it hurts. I've been in bed quite a few times for 2 or 3 days because after that kind of incident, I just don't feel like doing anything. Yeah, I've tried one guy's e-bike, and I don't know what to think about them. I mean, they are kind of nice, but they can't really do long trips. I mean, they can't do 30 miles one way and then turn around and come back on 30 miles. I don't think you'd make it. And they're not allowed on the bike trail anyhow, so there's a lot of places up here where electric bikes aren't allowed. Even though everybody still does it, they had it in the newspaper. They'd prefer to keep the electric bikes off the sidewalks and really off the public roads. They're for more out in the country or out in the parking lot somewhere. They're not really meant to be, at least around here, that I've read in the newspaper that the police don't really want them on the public roads, even though they are. So they've kind of put restrictions on the e-bikes around here. You can ride them, but yeah, they'd really prefer you didn't. Simply because they've had problems with people on e-bikes. They had a high-speed chase with an e-bike guy. I wouldn't call it a high-speed chase because they caught him within 2-3 minutes, but the cop stopped him. He was stopped, and the minute the cop got out of the car, the kid guns it and he takes off. Like, oh, son of a. Well, it took no more than 2-3 minutes, and the cop car got up into the street, and just kind of stopped, and the guy tried moving over, and he ended up falling. That's how they ended up catching him. He wiped out. Yeah, scooters. Yeah, we have. Well, here's the other problem that the police have noticed. Those e-bikes, you can really get up and go on some of those. Especially if you kind of what this one guy did in my building. He supercharged it, put a better battery in it, and did something. So he just flies up that hill. I mean, he's just instantly he's gone. Like, well, what did he do to that thing? Because he was just like, where'd he go? Like, and the guy standing next to me said, yeah, he did something to his e-bike, so I can do that. The other guy that I was talking to, he just kind of slowly walked out of the parking lot, went up the hill. But it's 2:42, guys. About another minute or two, and I'm gonna call this one good. Yeah, when tweaked, they can go 60, 70 miles an hour. Yeah, Louis Rosman. Yeah, I've seen him on his e-bike before. He did a live stream while riding his bike. That'd be interesting for me to try. But the Wi-Fi signals here in town, they wouldn't work. We're a little bit too far from the towers to get a good connection because the towers are on the outskirts of town. So you can see a tower, but it looks like it's close, but it's way off. It's way out there. So I don't think I could. Yeah, scooters. Yeah, you too, Ski Man. Hope you have a great day. I'm just kind of just sitting here. Might get on Zoom a little bit later here. Being that I didn't really get to talk any talk last night because I don't know anything about Apple or Apple phones, and that's kind of the subject. I'm not an Apple person. Just like Greg doesn't like Da Vinci, I don't like Apple. I really don't like hearing about it. But I did, so I just kept to myself. So yes, hope you all have a great day. Ken, I'll probably see you in 5 to 10 minutes. I'm probably gonna get on Zoom for a little bit. With that, guys, today's Friday. There will be no live stream tomorrow. So I'm gonna watch Doug if he has a live stream. I can't think of anything else. So with that, guys, have a good one, and I'll catch you all later. Bye for now.